now proudly presented on SNME. That's Sunday night's main event, Patreon and free feed.
Yo, we just people from the north side. Once the Timmy's at the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on the own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy George McKay live here in Oshawa, Destiny Wrestling. Hey, I saw that. I could see it in the camera, Lince. Yes, as you can see sitting beside me, one of the OGs of one of my personal favorites anyways when it comes to Lucha Libre Wrestling, the iconic, the amazing, the lit one himself, Lince Dorado. Look at it. Look how fly this man is.
Yo, it's the 2010 and 2011 Mr. Puss and Booze, the most entertaining, most interesting luchador here on the podcast, Lucha Libre, Lince Dorado.
Amazing. Absolutely. Dude, you have so much energy.
That's my intro.
It is absolutely incredible.
Just play this actually for my intro as I'm making my intro tonight.
We're actually talking off camera. I'm going to be commentating my first Lince Dorado match. And I got to say, I'm a big MLW fan.
Appreciate it.
And I love the work you did in MLW. I love the stuff that you did with Microman. I thought everything was entertaining. Microman, I've met him in person. One of the nicest guys ever. But how is it to work? How challenging is it to work with somebody of that stature, considering what he does and what you guys do, to make it all kind of work together?
I mean, first of all, that dude is Lucha Libre. Microman is Lucha Libre. So it wasn't difficult as you thought or as you may think to work with him. But I will say, that dude is so dense, man. I've never picked up. I always thought, and if you're watching this, Kalisto, I always said you were the heaviest dude I ever picked up. But I take it back, because I will tell you, Microman do not jump when you're trying to pick him up and put him on that top rope. He do not jump at all. He is a rock. So, but other than that, man, I loved my time with Microman. I was brought in to help Microman, adjust to the TV style and insinuate his style and himself. And I thought we did a really good job. People love the dynamic between me and him. We have action figures coming out this year of me and him, which I think is pretty cool. And at the end of the day, it was great to work with Microman. I would do it all over again.
So speaking of which, with the action figures coming out and obviously the likeness is there, is the door to MLW closed? Is your time at MLW done for now, or will we see Lince Dorado back in MLW?
You may see me back in WWE or maybe TNA.
I would love
Impact.
to see you back in WWE.
You never say never, right? Because at the end of the day, I love being my own boss. I love working for myself. I love going. Shut up! I'm doing something over here. I love doing whatever I want to do, and sometimes that doesn't. You're not going to be able to do that if you're stuck to one company. Sometimes you got to walk away and then come back, and that's what I've been kind of doing. I walked away for a little bit. I felt like I did whatever I needed to do at that time, and when I'm ready for the next part of my career, I'll definitely make a return back to any of those companies.
I love that. Well, since you brought up WWE, got to say, with the kind of changing of the guard that's happened, the company being sold, which in my honest opinion, I never thought would happen. I never thought it. You really did?
Man, there would be times in the back that the boys would always be like, do you think we're going to be the last guys to ever work for Vince? And we were. It was kind of crazy to think like we were the last guys. But we actually thought that, as morbid as it is, that he was going to die in office. He never, obviously, his career died, I guess, after everything. But, it's kind of crazy that it got sold and people enjoy. Right now there's no McMahons. No McMahons. It's crazy.
Not a McMahon. There's not a McMahon. I mean, the fingerprints are there. The history is there. The DNA is there. But in terms of physically involved within the business, other than a McMahon on the outside being Paul Levesque, being a son-in-law, who should they have given it to?
Who do you think?
Well, I'm a Triple H guy. I thought Triple H was deserved.
Hey, Paul, me and you are boys. I got you. I'm a Paul guy. I'm a Paul Heyman and a Paul Levesque guy. But I thought they were going to give it to Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon, honestly, believe it or not, low-key businessman, connoisseur. That dude was so cool to interact and talk with. Like, he loved the cruiserweights. We had a great conversation. Very smart, but I think he became a family man. Like, once he had his boys and his wife, that became his number one rather than like the wrestling and stuff. And good for him, dude. Like, I would rather it be that way. But Shane, I thought, was going to take it.
At one point in time, was being groomed.
Yeah, I thought
But
he
then
was
also, I know that he did, in the early days when he walked away the first time, he walked away because he wanted to carve out his own path.
1,000%.
And you can't blame...
No.
can't blame anybody for wanting to carve out their own destiny, right?
Not only that, no, absolutely not. Not only that, I think he was aware of a lot of the shady tactics his dad did while being a businessman, and being a father myself and having boys, it's kind of a bad representation to be. Hey, this is your grandfather kind of thing, but look at what he's doing. They're going to read that, and I think he was just trying to set a better example for him and his investments and investors that he's got going on, because I know he has a lot. But at the end of the day, I think the right person is in charge right now. I think Paul Levesque's got it. He's always been that dude to been super passionate about the product and wrestling in general. Every time you hear him talk, from the Attitude Era to now, it's always been super passionate about wrestling. So it's kind of hard to not respect that dude when all he does is and wants to do is show respect.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the guy that really behind the scenes, in a lot of ways, mended fences, fixed broken relationships. CM Punk.
Ultimate Warrior.
Warrior's crazy story of how that went down.
That is crazy.
And even though he was one of the ones that was featured in the destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD, he was the one that went to Warrior and said, "Listen, I was part of a story. I wasn't even really. I shouldn't have been speaking on that DVD."
Well, I think also too that DVD was like a hit. I think they were just trying to get back at Ultimate for a lot of the stuff
Vince
that.
McMahon hitting below the belt? Not Vince
What?
McMahon. No.
You son of a bitch. No.
You're fired.
Such good shit. But no, I think at the end of the day, yeah. Like we just said, yeah. He's got. They're in the right trajectory to be more global, maybe universal. Like that's why they call it, the WWE universe. It's not global anymore. It's become so. If we get on Mars, it's going to be the first galactic company, and then UFC and all that. And I love UFC, but UFC, we're going to be watching it tonight. Me and you, take me.
I'm down. I'm down for that. So I got to ask you this though. Mexico, hallowed halls of pro wrestling. There's so much history in Mexico. But when I look at WWE and them being global, that is a market that they haven't fully tapped into. They brought talent in, yes, but they haven't decided to cross that border, go for that. They've been to Puerto Rico. Yes. They've now been to Australia. They've been to Australia multiple times. They've been to the UK. They are global. But when do you think it'll be the time? When will we see WWE in Mexico? Could we see a WWE AAA? Partnership. I mean, the sky's the limit with pro wrestling right now, because the forbidden door is not even a door anymore. Yeah. It's kind of like a revolving door.
Yeah, it's a revolving door. I think it might be a little bit more difficult than fans would think when it comes to WWE or any company going to Mexico, and it's only because the AAA and CMLL stranglehold that they have on the entire wrestler industry down there. Between permits, cartel. Immigration, it's just so difficult for anybody to be substantial down there and hold a company. Not only that, a lot of the arenas are owned by CMLL, and they're not going to rent it out to anybody other than potentially concerts or something other than their competition. It doesn't make sense to them.
They'll rent it out as long as it makes sense, but if it starts dipping into their pool, they're not going to want that.
Exactly. So that's why you don't see when WWE goes to Mexico, they're not at these arenas that CMLL or these other companies run, and it's because of that. They don't want them there. It's their territory. It's still very old school, and a lot of people don't realize CMLL has been around longer than WWE and WWF. Absolutely. So they kind of feel as if they know what they're doing. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But at the end of the day, that's their territory. I think it will happen eventually. I think there will be a partnership or a WWE NXT or something, like how they did with the UK. I think maybe one day there will be a fence mended between those companies, and a working relationship will come about it.
Well, I mean, if you can have this pie and it be a great size pie, and everybody gets a piece, but then you can get an even bigger pie and an even bigger piece, why wouldn't you want to take that avenue?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things, but also too, you got to remember the WWE audience is American based.
They're very much in a bubble.
Yeah, very much in a bubble. So if they're going to any niche that isn't catered to the American public, which Mexico isn't, it becomes irrelevant to them, I guess. Like, not worth it, I guess. Even though there are fans in countries like Mexico or in India, like millions of people, billions of people who love WWE, But also, too, those countries they lack the resources for these people to go to these places. It's just a lot of politics. It's a lot of financial things rather than like just the love for pro wrestling that we all share.
Absolutely. That is one thing that we definitely can agree on. Now, being Lucha Libre, again, one of my all-time favorite styles. The cruiserweight size, one of my all-time favorite styles. The welterweight size, the middleweight size, whatever you want to call it. It's a great stream, and there's so much energy. When I look at the history of cruiserweights, and obviously I know a lot, but I don't know everything. But I will say this, the WCW stuff was some of my favorite stuff. The Eddie Guerrero stuff. I was a big Billy Kidman guy. I love Psychosis. Psychosis was one of my all-time favorites.
So Psychosis, I always said, there's two things I want to say. Psychosis, I always said, without him, there'd probably be no Ray. Because they would never have that match at War. They would never have those matches at ECW. And maybe there would have been a Ray, but I think how Psychosis elevated and showcased Ray really helped Ray a lot. Going back, I was also a big WCW guy when it only came to the Crusades. That's the only real reason why I watched it. Billy Kidman and me, fun story. Ready? Here we go. Same birthday, May 11th.
Right on.
With Robert Roode. And me and Billy Kidman have the same finisher, Shooting Star Press.
You do. And you also have...
I've never killed anybody with it, though, Billy.
Do you also have a pair of jorts?
No, I don't, actually.
Do you have a white wife beater?
Nope, I don't, actually.
Did you ever have long hair that you would grease and slick back?
I am bald as hell.
So other than the birthday and the finisher,
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
You never owned a pair of jorts once in your life? Come on.
I'm not a jean guy, man.
Not a jean guy? I can see that. You flow with the... I do love... You said you made this yourself.
I did make this myself. I'm a more comfort guy. I'm more of the Albert Einstein. Like, I'm a genius. I like to spend my money on other things other than clothes and stuff. So I don't mind making clothes because that doesn't really cost as much. But I'm more of a comfort. I just want to make sure I'm good and relaxed. Because if I'm good and relaxed here, I'm good and relaxed here. That's what it's all about.
I love that. Yeah, you got the comfort tracksuit. You got the Crocs that you're rocking.
Hey, man, why you say my Crocs, man? You didn't see
I love Crocs.
No, I do love my Crocs. After wrestling boots for like 20 years, your feet start to hurt, and Crocs is like the best.
Listen, Deadpool got into Crocs after he got shot up.
That's true.
Who doesn't love Crocs?
That's true. Who don't love Crocs? Fired.
That's it. Get off the show.
Yep.
Everybody here's ruined. Actually, my kid would live and breathe in Crocs if she could.
Everybody in my house has Crocs. My cats have Crocs.
Do you guys have stocks in Crocs?
No.
That's like some Dr. Seuss stuff right there.
Stocks and Crocs on the blocks.
And sometimes we wear them with or without socks.
Hey, you nasty wearing them without socks.
So when I look at, again, the history of the stuff that you did at WWE, the run that you had, and you even mentioned earlier on in this conversation, sometimes you got to walk away, and then you got to find your way back. You walked away. You've been able to carve out, a very healthy brand and reputation for yourself, which is fantastic to see. And you're also one of the nicest and humblest people. I actually watched you kick ass today earlier with a seminar teaching the kids. What's that like as you reach this next stage of your career that you mentioned, being able to pass on knowledge, but also still being able to come out here and do what you love, which is entertain people?
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, yeah, I was very fortunate that I walked away on my own from WWE. I just felt the moment that it became work rather than my passion, I needed to walk away and kind of reignite that. Naturally, I'm a teacher at heart. Before WWE, I was a wrestler. I was a math teacher while I was wrestling on the independent scene. So the teaching in me has never really left me. And now that I'm on that second part of my career or whatever part of my career that I can give back and teach. And, as I'm a consultant right now for WWE, where I go back and teach at the PC, and I kind of do that here. So I naturally like the idea of giving back because in my head too, my wrestling doesn't owe me anything, but if I can leave wrestling a little bit better than when I got it, that makes me good. So if I can help somebody else get to the next level or help them get there quicker rather than how it was for me, then I feel like I've done wrestling a justice and did my part. And again, not be selfish and stuff. I try not to be angry. I know I can whoop anybody's ass for sure. I know I love fighting real life. I love wrestling amateur. I love jiu-jitsu. I love judo. but I know too that I love providing for my family, and this is how I provide, by teaching and going in there and having a great time and never having left that passion. From when I first saw wrestling, every time I step in that ring, it's always there. I want to make sure everybody feels the passion that I have from the moment I leave that curtain to the moment I walk back. And that's all it's all about for me, creating moments. And something I told the audience, my seminar today is, I don't sell motion, I sell emotion. And that's what I do. I want to make sure that at the end of the day, no matter what's going on in their life, they know that they pay their hard-earned money to escape, and I'm going to give them, the ride of their life.
I love that. And when you mention the words escape, it's actually picture perfect, because I look at, I did not have the best life, I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
And yet I can look at the great moments in life, and wrestling was either a part of it or somewhere in the nuance of the universe at the time. For example, when I met my wife, found out she was a diehard wrestling fan, I myself a diehard wrestling fan, I was like, I got to put a ring on it.
Yeah.
You don't meet a lot of women.
Put a ring on it in the ring.
I didn't do that. I wish I would have, but I didn't. I went classic. I went with the waiter at the keg with the tray.
Slacking. Should have been body slam. Be like, help me. I got a ring if somebody wants to help me.
I should have. You're right. Maybe when we get remarried on our 25th anniversary. But wrestling, in a lot of ways, I look at wrestling as something that saved me. Yeah. Saved me at my darkest points in life. Would you say, as much as wrestling does have that clouded darkness to it,
Of course.
and it's unfortunate, and the situations that we're in now, not even talking about the Vince McMahon situation, but the last couple of years of everyone kind of removing those individuals who were not the best for this sport and this business we love. And now it's getting cleaned up, and you talked about leaving it better than you found it. I think wrestling as a whole is organically cleaning itself out.
I think so.
And but would you say that wrestling, in a lot of ways, like it did for me, would you say you've heard? I'm not the first person you've heard that before in terms of wrestling saved me or was a part of my life that made me find something that I could love in the darkness that was my life at the times?
For sure, absolutely. At least for me, I can only speak for myself, but I know for other people that I've surrounded myself with, like, it's very similar. I also did not grow up in the best area of New Jersey. I actually grew up in Camden, New Jersey, which was voted worst city in America for like 5 years in a row. Damn. And from that, there was only two ways in or two ways out: a body bag or if you left. And if you ended up staying, you were going to leave in a body bag. My father was murdered when I was 12 years old, and I could have took that as, maybe I should walk in his footsteps and end up the same way, or I need to get the hell out and, restart my life. And the passion and drive that I got from wrestling, every time I saw it, gave me the motivation that this was my escape, this was my calling, this was what I was going to do the rest of my life, to provide for my kids. And if it wasn't for wrestling and education, like, the teachers I had were great teachers. I was an okay student. I was a great student when it came to grades. It's only because the teachers that I had were on me. Like, they knew I was special. They saw the potential. They saw the potential, and they pushed me to where I needed to be. They were the parents that I didn't have. And, wrestling helped me out so much, to the point where now, I even said this to the people over here, you're either 99% in or 100% in. Like, it seems pretty close, but it's not. As a 99%er, you're the ones that always say, like, you want to do it, but never put in the work. 100%ers are the ones, like, no offense to my family, and I've told this to them, they became second, third, fourth, fifth sometimes in order for me to achieve this. Because if I wasn't able to achieve this, they wouldn't be in the position that they're in now. And if they weren't in that position that they're in now, then they would be in the position I was in as a child. And that's what I was trying to avoid for them. So because of wrestling, not only saved my life, but it helped, my family's life as well.
Absolutely. And again, I love that. Hey, dude, you're a passionate dude. I love conversations like this, and that's what we do here. We don't just, we don't just talk. We don't just do an interview. No. Where did you grow up? What did you do? We have conversations. That's what makes Straight Talk different. Now, back to my other part of the question being, wrestling in the last couple of years have organically cleaned itself in a lot of ways. And I think your run was kind of in the midst of when things were kind of percolating and bubbling.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's in the point where we see everyone having to take ownership for their skeletons.
Yes.
For somebody like yourself who was on both sides of the coin, seeing the percolation and now seeing it come to fruition, are you at all shocked and surprised by some of the names that have been called out for some of the despicable things that have been done?
No, because, and I'm only speaking to some people that I've only had interactions with. For example, one of my trainers, piece of shit, he knows where he's at and he knows who he is. But yeah, I knew from day one that I didn't believe in the cult of the wrestling schools that had like what they were doing back in the day of like, you know, you got to stay here if you want to be successful, or, you know, the mind control of like, oh, I'm going to control your destiny. No, like your job as a trainer is to train me to give and take professional wrestling moves and put a match together. Other than that, I don't owe you anything. You don't owe me anything. You know, I was actually one of the guys when I got my release, I actually had a guy, you know, try to like poke at me. And this was a guy whose daughter is in wrestling right now, and he was trying to get into wrestling. So in my head, I was like, hey man, you crossed over, so you're kind of one of us. So now you're going to get, you know, the wrath of one of us. And I told him straight up, I said, hey man, listen, I'm going to be here at this time. I had a jiu-jitsu competition actually the day after I got my release. And I told him, I said, hey, this is where I'm going to be at. Come here. Come say the stuff that you have online to my face. Let's have a conversation. I want you to be a man and show your daughter you're a man and have this conversation to my face. And when it came to a point where, you know, he started getting scared, I gave him no excuse. And this is my accountability that I have for people. I bought him 4 tickets, one for him, his wife, his daughter, and maybe the ass whooping I was going to give him. I bought him a parking ticket. So all he had to do was show up. All he had to do was show up, had this conversation.
Harper was laid out?
Like a man, and he decided not to. So he ended up deactivating his Twitter and kind of like got backlash too from a lot of people because he was also kind of bullying a lot of people. But I'm not a man to like, here's the other thing. We're all men. We're all adults. Men talk like men, and if you don't, well, there's consequences. There's repercussions. There's no longer that we can be safe hiding behind this camera or, you know, this keyboard or have the police there. Like, because at the end of the day, we're going to police ourselves here in wrestling. That's just wrestling. And if we have a problem, we're going to solve it one way or another. Me, it depends on that mood. Maybe it'll be words, maybe it won't be words. But either way, we're going to have a conversation one way or another. If we have a problem, that's what we're going to do. So anybody got a problem with me, you already know where to find me. I post my schedule all the time where I'm at. So come find me, come have some words. Good luck.
I think that's fair. That's honest. And that's what I love. I love the honesty. I love the candidness of the way you speak. Listen, this is me. This is who I am. Yeah. Even beforehand, I said, "Is there anything you don't want to talk about?" First thing you said to me, "No, man, I'm an open book."
I learned that from WWE because the first 2 years in WWE, I tried to be who I thought they wanted me to be.
Try to be part of the machine.
Yes, and then I realized I am not like you. I'm just not. This is how I am. This is how I'm talking to you is how I would talk to Vince or Paul Heyman or Pat Patterson anytime there was an issue or I had a problem or I had a suggestion. I'm not a submissive person. I'm not a demanding person, but we're going to be fair and talk like men, like, because that's how it always starts. And I learned that I need to be a man when I talk to people, and I learned that from WWE, honestly. And now that my mindset is different, it's kind of good and bad at the same time, because even though I can talk to men like men, not all men can talk to men like men. So it makes it still a little bit hard to get your point across. But I don't take it personal, man. At the end of the day, it is what it is. As long as you don't mess with me or my family or my money, you ain't gonna catch these hands.
Absolutely. You know what? It's weird. Even when you try to be open and honest like myself, I went through a couple of struggles. A couple of years ago, I had a really dark stage of depression. I talk about it quite openly on the show all the time. And it was because of my wife and my daughters. I'm a girl dad. Yep. Everyone in the family is a girl, even the dog. I don't have any testosterone in my house, but I'm okay with it. I am okay with it.
Gotcha.
And I love my daughters. I love my wife. And they were the reasons that I'm still here today. And when I posted my 2-year anniversary of where I was to where I am now, there was a couple of people who were like, you know what, you're a man. Men don't do stuff like this. No, men do. Men could be open. Men could be honest. And you know what? It's okay to cry. It's okay to be emotional. Because at the end of the day, if I didn't hone in on my emotions, I might have not stayed on the course that I'm on now.
I'm learning that the hard way now, to be more emotional. Now that I have I have my kids, and I make sure that I cry in front of my kids. I make sure that they know when I'm mad or upset that it's okay to be mad and upset. You don't have to go hide in your room. You don't have to walk away. If you don't have somebody right there and then that can hold you or comfort you, it's okay to just let go and let loose. And it sucks at first when my kids saw me cry, because I could see how hurt they were. But they needed to feel that because, at the end of the day, that's a natural thing. It's okay. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a female just to cry,
It doesn't make you less of a person.
Yeah, it doesn't make you, if anything, it makes you more of a person because you're able to express yourself, get it out of the way, have that conversation with yourself or somebody else who's done you wrong and fix it and move on. Because a lot of us will stay mad and waste that energy that we could do or could use to put toward bettering ourselves, So that's where it's all about. I actually cried with my kids the other day. We were just talking. I'll be very honest. I'm going through a divorce, and it's not the best. But at the end of the day, my kids are with me, and that's they're my life. And I knew they were going with their mom pretty soon, and I just had a breakdown because they've been with me since July of last year. And now that they're going to go back, I just felt so lost. So yesterday, before the show, actually today, I was so lost. I was home alone. I have cats, but the energy's different when your kids aren't around you. I just bawled all day, cried, and then watched some movies, cried again, and then at the end of the day, I needed to get that out because if I didn't, I don't know where I would be at today mentally. I always try to keep a focused, positive mind and just stay forward.
I love that. I absolutely love. I loved a lot of stuff of what you said, man. You're very honest and real person, and I appreciate that.
I try to do. We should all be honest, and honestly, I'm not saying I don't care about your feelings, but I have to worry about mine. I have to live with my feelings every day, and if something somebody's doing is affecting that in some way, I have to address it. Whether it's completely disconnect or, hey, brother, I need you to stop that and understand that this is why. And some people, like I said, great to have that conversation with. Some people you're not able to, and you just got to cut them out.
Absolutely. My final question before we wrap it up, because I know you got to eat, prepare for your match and all that stuff. I'm a Triple H guy, like you said. I'm literally top 5 is on my Mount Rushmore. And I know you've had conversations with the man. I know you've worked with the man. You got a funny Triple H story that maybe nobody might know, or even one that you told 1,000 times over, because I'm always about funny Triple H stories.
Okay, so Triple H actually, Superman, I will say, I was never a Triple H guy until I got to WWE and started really understanding what he was doing. And if you've seen me without my mask, and some people, like I said, they could either, I probably have this I'm angry face or I'm just uninterested face. It's not, it's just my face, I guess. And one day it was me, Kalisto, and Metallic talking, and we're maskless, and everybody, we're all good-looking guys. But he just looked at me, and I just asked him, I was like, "Why do you keep looking at me?" He's like, "You look like a dude who would stab me in the back," and he said that in a good way. I said, "No, absolutely not. I would be the dude that stab you in the front while you're looking." And he laughed, and ever since then, him and Paul Heyman have always been super high on me because of how honest I am, how very upfront I am. I'm not pretending to be hard. I'm not trying to be hard. This is just who I am. Just a no nonsense. I'm not. I love having fun in the ring, but you don't want to fuck with me either, kind of thing. So no. I always say this: I don't want problems, but I don't mind problems either.
I like that. It's I don't run from my problems. I'm here. If the problems come, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. I mean, obviously, I'm not looking for problems, but like I said, if y'all want it, y'all already know where to find it.
Absolutely. Now, another question I got to ask, because I think this is an interesting perspective, and it just kind of popped into my head. Rey Mysterio, he went maskless. There have been mask versus career matches, all this kind of stuff. In Lucha Libre, the mask is everything. When you kind of come to a point in a feud or a storyline where you have to go mask against career, how does that affect the momentum of, say, your character, your brand, knowing that if you do end up having to go maskless, this could ultimately change the course of your career?
No, it not could. It will. It will change your whole trajectory. It could make or break. It could, keep you stagnant. It could keep you, now into this momentum of craziness. It really just depends. But what if I told you I've been wrestling without the mask? You just don't know it.
I would be shocked.
What if I said last year I wrestled 30 times without the mask? You never knew it.
No, I never knew it at all.
Yeah.
I know you were thinking about it. You toyed with it on socials, but I don't remember it ever being.
It's called planting seeds. When you put it on social, but when you do it, the seed is planted.
So, do you enjoy I mean, you got both sides.
I do enjoy it. I do enjoy because it is totally different. I don't have the same moveset. I don't have the same mannerisms.
Oh, so you change everything.
Everything looks so different. You don't even know that it's me. I used to wrestle twice on shows back before WWE. One as a good guy, one as a bad guy. Totally different matches. Nobody would never notice that it was me.
Wow.
So yeah, I just kind of like experimenting. I kind of like playing. And who knows, later on in my life, maybe when I tell my story that I've always been here, maybe it'll make sense to a lot of people.
It absolutely will. Now I got to start looking. I got to start researching.
Got
to start researching these matches. All right. And my final question, because I get Jersey is Jersey. But when it comes to Jersey, there is one good thing that I've heard about Jersey, any spot in Jersey, and that is food.
Yes.
What is the best spot in Jersey for anything? Pasta, steak, pizza. What is the best? Actually, no, forget it. Let's go unhealthy. What is the best greasy spoon spot in Jersey?
Either way, it's the same answer. Any diner, the Philly diner in Rennemead, New Jersey, South Jersey is pretty good. But honestly, if you go to any diner in Jersey, you can get anything you want, anytime you want, and it's great. You can get pasta in the morning, pasta.
Wow. It's all Mikey's fault. See that guy right there?
Piece of shit.
Yeah, stupid. That guy right there. Now he's trying to look at you, jackass.
But yeah, any diner food. Actually, we just went there for Christmas, and that's all we ate. Excuse me. Yeah, but check it out, diners.
I love it. All right, guys, that's it for this one. As always, your host, your boy, George McKay, with my new friend, my new compadre,
yes, sir.
Mi Familia, Lince Dorado. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on that notification bell so you get notified each time we post a video. Alternatively, you can check us out on all podcast platforms and hosted on Podbean. We are also available on the SNME network. That's the Sunday Night Main Event Patreon. Please feel free to check us out there as well. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at _Straight Talk on Twitter, at Straight Talk Wrestling on Instagram, Straight Talk Wrestling on Facebook, Straight Talk Wrestling on TikTok, and of course, you can check out all our merch at ProWrestlingTees.com.
I don't need a nigga cosign. Without the liquor, you become a victim. You ain't never got a pole mine. I ain't messing with this generation. Fuck your gen, I ain't got